Hey guys, I'm Drogan Revere, and welcome back to, well, not welcome back, but welcome to a new What If that I like to call, What If Deku was the God of Thunder? Now, before you say anything, no, he's not Thor or Zeus, he's just gonna be a God of Thunder. It's just something I made up, thought of it, and I'm really excited about this one. I've been excited. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let's just get into this. Last video got 6 views, so a lot, like, more than I thought I would get. And my first video is already up to 12 views. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get into this. So we start off with Izuku Midoriya. He was born, and when he was born, something was strange. As his mother was pushing, the lights started to flicker, and the earth started to quake. And a lot of weird stuff happening. Animals started going crazy. Thunderstorms started forming around the world. Massive earthquakes everywhere, but not to where, like, buildings were destroyed, just shaking. And in the hospital room, items started floating. The doctors were super confused, and then when they hear the baby crying, everything stopped. The items fell down and everything just stopped. Animals are back to normalcy. The storms disappeared. The earthquakes gone. Everybody was super confused. The doctors thought maybe it was his quirk, but they just dissed it off as a really weird coincidence. And everybody then called that day, let's think, the Quake Day, because it was where, like, the whole entire Earth started going, weird. So then we skipped 4 years old, or 4 to 5 years old. Deku's going to the quirk doctor, and the doctor says that he's quirkless, which Midoriya super depressed by this. His mother is generally confused because all his life he's been somewhat strong. Like, one time he lifted the couch above his head, and another time he jumped over the swing set. So she generally thought that he had an enhancement quirk or something, but they said no, he was completely quirkless. No mutation, no nothing. So they just dissed it off. And after that, everything like the anime happened. Deku got bullied for being quirkless. He still wanted to be a hero, though. So what's different is he started to work out so he can, like, still try to be a hero. So in this, what if Deku's actually, like, kind of buffer? And we go to the last day of middle school. Everything happens in canon, teacher says, you all want to go to the hero course, of course, blah, blah, blah. And Deku's book gets thrown out the window, and Bakugo tells him to kill himself, and blah, blah, blah. Then we skip to the sludge villain attack, where the sludge villain then creeps out of the sewer saying, I didn't know that freak was in town. It looks like you'll make the perfect skin suit to escape him. So then the sludge villain went inside Deku. Deku tried to run away, but he couldn't. Deku struggled and struggled, but then began to black out. Then Deku heard a voice. He woke up in this bright white room with a woman in a white dress and a cloth covering her eyes. Began to speak. Hello, Izuku. I can't do a woman voice. I absolutely cannot do that. Hello, Izuku. Deku's confused and says, who are you? Where am I? What's going on? He starts flailing around, looking around, trying to see where he is. Then he thinks, am I dead? Oh no. Oh, I'm still be so alone. I never got to be a hero. Then the lady said, but would you like to be one? Midoriya is confused. He asked, how? The goddess then stands up and says, do you not know of your power? You know that you are one of us, correct? One of us? What do you mean? Deku is generally confused by the statement. He looks around and sees nobody. There is only us in this room. At least us two. The guy says, goddess. Obviously, she's a goddess. The goddess says, Izuku, you are a god. Deku then just stands up straight, says, okay, I don't know if this is a dream, or if this is some practical joke, but if it is, please stop. Then he hears a laughter, a kind of dark laughter. This one's strange, but I like him. As he turns around, he sees a man in armor. Thick beard with tannish skin and red hair. The goddess says, Atreus, what are you doing here? I thought you were in the hunting grounds. Izuku looks back and forth between the two. He's generally confused. He looks to the guy and says, how'd you get here? I didn't see you. Do you have some sort of teleportation quirk? The guy just stares at Deku, confused, and says to the goddess, he doesn't know, does he? He thinks that this is some sort of prank. And then the guy grabs Deku by the shoulders and screams out, child, you are one of us. Hell, you're actually stronger maybe than all of us. Deku is so confused and says, what do you mean by us? Who are you guys? The man says, I am Atreus. I probably messed up his name. Atreus. I am Atreus, god of the hunt. And you are Izuku Midoriya, god of thunder. When Deku hears this, he realizes that this isn't a joke. He's a god? Deku says, there's no way I'm a god. I'm quirkless. The goddess says, but you have supernatural strength and speed, yet you're still quirkless. Doesn't that seem strange? Izuku takes a second to think. He's speechless. Am I actually a god? Are they still pranking me? As the goddess says, your time is limited here, but we shall give you your full power, as it was suppressed due to your young state. But since you worked out and built up your body, you're able to take on almost 50% of your godlike powers, which, of course, taking this 50% will make you burst, as we call it. Burst? What do you mean burst? Will I explode? The god, or Atreus, says, kinda. Your body won't be hurt, but your surroundings will. So, kid, he pats Izuku's shoulders again, says, kick some ass and be a hero, or, well, a god. As then Izuku wakes up. He's still in the sludge monster. His eyes begin to glow. Thunder starts to roar as thunderclouds start to form above him. Izuku is dragging the sledge monster villain out of the tunnel into open space. The sludge villain is confused. Where the hell is this kid taking me? How's he moving? He should be suffocating now. As while the slime is within Izuku's body, it begins to disappear. The sludge villain winces his pains and tries to get out of Midoriya, but then all you hear is a thunderous boom come out of Midoriya's mouth as thunder spews out. His mouth, eyes, every orifice of his body is glowing. Midoriya turns around to the sludge villain. You dare mess with me, mortal. The sludge villain looks at him in terror as thunder still rains down. Lightning clashes onto Midoriya, shaking the earth as these strange markings appear on him, looking almost tribal. Sludge villain tries to escape, but then the cover of the cover of the manhole pops up and the man says, "Ha ha ha! I am what the hell." All Might sees the sludge villain trying to escape. It sees Deku in his burst form. All Might's thinking, the hell's going on here? Did the sludge villain try to attack him and he activated his quirk? As then, sludge villain goes to All Might and pleads, Please, I'll go to prison. I'll do whatever you want. Just get me away from this thing. As then he grabs the bottles that All Might is holding within his bag, pours out the liquid, and goes inside them willingly, closing the tap behind him. As he hides in the bottles, the sludge villain looks over at Deku and thinks, what the hell is this kid? He almost killed me. As then, thunder then stops. Everything stops. The earth stops shaking. Thunderclouds dissipate once again. And Izuku, eyes and skin goes back to normal. Then he passes out. All Might is just standing there like, what the frick happened? He's generally confused. He goes over to Midoriya, goes over to the sludge villain, the captured one, and tightens the bottles to make sure he doesn't really escape, puts them in his pockets. And then he sees Midoriya's book on the ground, slightly burned due to Bakugo's explosion. Thinks that he burned it while the thunderstorm happened. So he went ahead, picked it up, signed it, and put it back into his bag. And then he started slapping Midoriya on his face like, hey, kid, wake up. As Midoriya begins to come to, he sees All Might, and All Might says, thought we lost you there. Everything goes as canon, even up to where he jumps onto All Might and drops the bottles, and then they're on the roof, and Deku asks the $1 million question, can I be a hero even without a quirk? When All Might hears this, he's confused, looks up to Deku and says, you're not quirkless. I saw you use your quirk against the sludge villain. Not All Might. Deku is confused, saying, I don't remember that happening. As then he remembers the dream he had. Thinking it was just some sort of illusion or whatever in his mind, then thinks, wait, am I an actual god? No way. And then he hears a voice in his head saying, kid, you gotta calm down. And he realized, Atreus? I keep on I made up his name. How do I keep on forgetting it? It's confusing. It's confusing. Atreus. That's his name. God, this recording sucks. I'll probably have to redo it. Whatever. I'm just gonna upload it because who cares? Who cares? Back to the what if. As he says out loud, Atreus? All Might says, who? Midoriya turns back to All Might and says, oh, nothing. I just, sorry, I talk to myself a lot. All Might says, whoa. Even if you are quirkless, says with air quotes, then, no, you can't be a hero without a quirk. Deku's kind of torn up by this. Disappointed. Looks down to the ground, clenching his fist. As All Might walks past, saying, but that doesn't apply to you, since I did see your quirk. But if it was like an late awakening, then I suggest you get a hold of it, hone it, and probably report it to your quirk doctor or whatever. And if not, then, well, you can always be a cop, or a doctor, firefighter, any of those. See ya, kid. As All Might walks away. Atreus then speaks up again, saying, that was a dick move. Deku then says, why are you speaking to me in my mind? Atreus then says, oh, I just wanted to give you some tips about your new godly powers. Deku then says, godly what? Wait, do I actually have powers now? Wait, does it mean I have a quirk? Atreus then says, no, it's not a quirk, it's your powers as a god. Hell, I don't even think you should be a hero. I mean, you're a god. You're not supposed to be saving people, you're supposed to command them, as a god should. Deku then speaks up, but wait, don't gods also save people? No, gods don't save people. We make people to save people. Like Hercules or, what's his face? Like demigods. They do the saving people. Deku then thinks, well, technically I'm a demigod. You said, that one goddess said that I only felt like 50% of my power? Atreus then says, I guess you're right, kid. Well, here. For you to know about your powers and train to understand them, that'd take too long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna train you mentally. While you sleep, you will train. Your body will get the rest it needs, but your mind will adapt to your body. What? I don't understand. Alvi is better at saying this stuff than me. Alvi? The goddess you met. But I just call her Alv. Oh, okay. As then Alvi speaks up saying, what he means is, when you're sleeping, you will be talking to us, and we will train you about your godlike powers. And we'll also teach you about history and other things. But how will that affect my body? It's just my mind, isn't it? Well, you're a god. So, it just works. We're gods, so we can do whatever the hell we want. I guess you're right. This is confusing. I'm just gonna go home and take a nap. Ah, so you don't get training early. I like it. No, that's not what I'm... Deku then just walks home. But he actually ends up at a place where happens to be a villain attack happening. He thinks, oh, I accidentally ended up at a villain attack. I wonder what's going on. As he walks over and sees Bakugo being attacked. He sees his face and how desperate and the desperate look he's given off. He thinks, I had to save him. As then, Deku rushes in. And then again, storm cloud starts to form, but not as big as last time. A small storm starts to form, and everybody knows this. As Izuku throws his backpack as he did in canon, and the heroes are telling him to back away, the sludge villain sees Midoriya, and he gets instantly scared. Like, oh shit, he's back! As then he tries to run away, then Deku jumps in the air, and then he gets hit by lightning. And at the same time he gets hit, he throws a punch, striking the sludge villain, instantly exploding him, nearly killing him. But Bakugo is completely fine. Actually, when the lightning hit him, he had this little scratch. He had a couple scratches on him and a couple bruises. When lightning hit him, it healed him. Bakugo sees this. He's confused. He looks at Deku and says, how the hell did you do that? I thought you were quirkless. When not All Might, Bakugo says this, Deku's just looking at his hands in disbelief. He says, I actually did it. I actually did it. Holy crap. He starts to freak out mentally, and physically he's just shaking. The heroes run over and try to help Bakugo go up, but he just stands up, pushes the villains away, and walks over angrily at Deku. Says, oi, are you gonna answer me or not? As then, Death Fist, or Death Punch, the one guy in blue and white hair, corners up Bakugo and says, hey kid, calm down, he just saved your ass. Don't know why you're getting all angry. As then those two get separated and everybody's talking about him, getting the situation sorted. The news go up to Deku and actually ask him a couple questions like, who are you and what's your quirk and how'd you do that? Deku somehow just slips away without answering any questions. Bakugo, he does answer some questions, and they ask him who the kid is, thinking they know each other. Bakugo says, just some loser from my school. When they hear the word loser, they think, he isn't really a loser, more like a hero. As then, Midoriya is walking home, and he sees All Might. Midoriya says, All Might? What are you doing here? All Might then speaks up, saying, that was impressive, young man. You said you were quirkless, and yet you used that power. It's either A, you quickly understood how to use your power, or B, you were lying. And I know option B was definitely not the answer. Deku then shakes a little bit, saying, I'm sorry if it seemed like I lied to you. All Might then says, it's okay. But since it looks like you recently activated your quirk, you might need some training. Deku looks up with All Might's hand reaching out in front of him. And All Might says, I'd be happy to train you, young What's your name again? Sorry, I forgot. Midoriya then says, Izuku Midoriya. And then starts the 10-month training period, where they train and learn Deku's abilities, which is super strength, super speed, super dexterity, as in he's like super hard. Like a knife would do nothing to him. A bullet just pings off. And he also has electrokinesis. And the move that they found out and are calling it burst mode, where he's like where like the earth rumbles. And he now knows, and he also can summon storms and can shoot lightning out of his hands, and also learns that his lightning can heal people due to one time trash almost falls on All Might and he gets a small scrape, and Izuku actually heals him without even knowing it, and when he heals him, he actually heals a bit of his wound. Afterwards, the next day, it's around like the 2 months until the entrance exam, and All Might is actually meeting with Recovery Girl with Midoriya. Midoriya knows about Recovery Girl and starts kind of fanboying once more. And Recovery Girl asks him, Midoriya, could you try and use your healing ability on All Might? Zuko thinks and remembers, oh yeah, it can heal. Maybe I can heal Scar. As Midoriya then goes over and tries to heal All Might. Small bits of electricity comes off his hands and onto the scar he has. And the bits of the, like, how do I put this? When the bits of electricity hit All Might, the scar slightly disappears, returning to regular skin. And he then just does a little bit too much, and just a big flash happens in the room. Deku, thinking he went a bit overboard and fried All Might, which then All Might is in his buff form. They're all confused, thinking, did you just buff up? As All Might is then looking down at his injury, and it's gone. Now he no longer has a time limit, and he's back at his prime. And he's stronger. Recover Girl is completely amazed by this. He regrew his whole entire respiratory system and everything back. And now the number one hero is at his number one best. Now we skip to the the UA entrance exam. When Deku walks in, or walks towards the building, he's actually talking in his head with Atreus, which they've been training when sleeping, and Deku is like super buff. Like a couple people mistaken him for like a grown man. That's how like big and buff he is. And he even has a couple scars around like times, like when training with All Might, where All Might kind of took it a bit too far, where Deku was able to heal himself, but for some reason just left a scar. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that he also has super regeneration. Like super regeneration. Oh yeah, and Deku can also like barely even age. So yeah. Let's see, let me think. As Deku walks into the UA building, he accidentally trips and then stops. Looks around and sees that he's floating. Then thinks, wait, can I fly? That's new. Then he hears a girl saying, sorry about that. As then the girl repositions him and makes him stand upright. Deku looks over and sees a brunette-haired girl with pink cheeks and her hands starting to touch together. When her hands touch together, Midoriya fell down to the ground. She says, sorry for using my quirk on you. You looked like you were about to fall, so I just went ahead and helped out. Midoriya then blushes a bunch and says, it's okay. He has a little bit more confidence since Atreus has been, trying to boost that a bunch. Trying to make him less of a, as he says, pussy. So now he's more confident. Way more confident, actually. Not way more confident, just the good amount of confident. And actually, he's kind of got this mentality, kind of similar to Bakugo's, where whenever he's in a fight, he, wants a fight. What's that one kid from Black Clover with the electricity magic and the gauntlets and stuff? He has kind of that mentality. But yeah, now whenever he sees a fight, he wants to get into the fight. He wants battle experience. So then Uraraka, the brunette-haired girl, and Deku start talking. They walk into the building together. Everything goes in canon, including Ida pointing out the thing about Midoriya, about him mumbling and stuff. Midoriya actually kind of getting ticked off by this and says, you're interrupting more than I am. As then Ida starts blushing as he's kind of embarrassed. And President Mike saying, all right, kids. Let's just calm down here. As then he just continues with this presentation. And then here comes the physical exam, where Deku sees Uraraka and walks over trying to calm her nerves because she looks really nervous. Ida stops him saying, are you trying to distract that girl? That is very wrong of you to do. Midoriya says, I'm just trying to calm her down. She looks really nervous. We're kind of friends. As he then says, oh, I apologize. Continue then. Ida backs off, and Deku walks over to Uraraka as she's kind of shaking. Then he says, hey, Uraraka? Deku looks over and saying, oh, Izuku, right? Deku says, yeah, but you can call me Deku if you want. Uraraka says, oh, okay, Deku. Is something wrong? As Deku then takes Uraraka's hands, which are superly shaking, and she kind of slightly blushes, and puts her hands together, and then slaps her hands, which kind of stings Uraraka a bit and grabs everybody's attention. Ida is kind of pissed and goes over to try and confront Midoriya and says, hey, you don't need to be so nervous. Uraraka looks up to him with Midoriya having a big bright smile on his face and says, everything's gonna be fine. You can do this. I know you can. Uraraka then thinks, I just met you. How are you so sure of this? As then Deku pats her head and walks to the front. Everybody's staring at him, Ida's kind of disbelief, thinking, oh, so he was trying to calm her nerves. Okay. And some of the girls, they're like, actually kind of fawning over him, like, oh, he's really nice, and his smile's so bright, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, God. And as he walks up to the front, President Mike then says, there is no countdown in, and then as he says that, the doors slightly open up, and then boom, Deku is gone, and the doors come flying off the hinges, and a big burst of wind pressure goes around. One of the doors actually fly up into the sky, hitting a 3-pointer, and the other one into a building. The other door into a building. As Deku is in the air, starting to fly down, well, not fly down, but fall down, stomping onto a 2-pointer, and then grabbing its tail, flipping over, and throwing the tail into 2 1-pointers, instantly destroying them. And then he says, that's 6. No, wait. That's 7. Sorry. Math. Weird. As the teachers are completely amazed, and the students are frozen, and then Mike says, well, are you going to let him take all the points for himself? Go! As then the students start running. And then a robot, which actually seems to be a 1-pointer, which actually seems to be strangely too fast and too strong, starts taking out the kids. Turns out this robot seemed to lose control, and it's going straight for Deku as it punches him over and over and over again, pushing it into a wall. And as the 1-pointer tries to throw another punch, Deku catches it and says, guess this is quite a shocking surprise. As then, boom, the 1-pointer is struck by a big bolt of greenish lightning. Everybody's looking at this, and the teachers are even looking at this because the robot was on like berserker mode, which is like difficult to beat. And it was still a 1-pointer, but that was still technically difficult to defeat. So then Deku goes out, destroys more robots, and helping people when he can, from like falling debris and robots overpowering them and stuff. And then he feels a rumble on the earth, thinking, what's going on? And he looks behind him and sees the 0-pointer. Everybody starts running away, and Deku says, I should probably run away with him. As then he hears a girl. Says, please, someone help me. He turns around and sees Uraraka under a bunch of rubble. When Deku sees this, the earth starts to quake even more. Everybody's confused. Thunderstorms start forming again. Dust and rocks start floating. Animals in the area start kind of going crazy. Even Nezu's mind's going like ballistic, and he hides under his desk. The teachers are confused by this, thinking and saying, hey, what's wrong? Nezu's just going crazy and thinking, something's wrong, over and saying that over and over and over again. His animal instincts are just kicking in, as he's just immediately terrified of Deku. All the teachers are staring at him as he sees his eyes are glowing, and thunder starts coming off his body. And all they see is this. Everybody in the room, the teachers, the students, everybody's frozen in fear. As then, Deku disappears in a flash of lightning. And then all they hear is a big shockwave. A boom. thunder strikes Midoriya. It makes him disappear up in front of the 0-pointer. Deku cocks back his arms and says, "Die." As then, big thunderclap hits the 0-pointer, completely destroying it. And when the thunderclap goes, a little bit of electricity, small thunderbolt, hits through the rubble that was on Uraraka, hitting her leg and also healing her at the same time, actually giving her a little bit of an adrenaline boost for her to be able to run away from the situation. Which actually she's a little bit faster than usual. As when this happens, Deku passes out. As he's fallen to the ground, Uraraka tries to help him, but she misses. Deku falls to the ground, making a huge crater. Nezu stops feeling that feeling he got when Deku went to this burst mode. Gets up on the table his chair saying, "What happened? How are the students?" They say they're fine, but one of them seems to be injured, as some of them are running to the scene. All Might is also there saying, "Midoriya, you went to burst mode." As the students are huddling around Izuku, seeing if he's okay, and Cover Girl runs onto the scene, and then they hear walking, and then they see Deku, completely fine. His shirt's ripped up, revealing his body. Girls instantly get a nosebleed, including Uraraka. And they also see the scars. The guys are like, "Damn, he's fucking ripped. Whenever he got those scars." The girls are like, "Whoa," you know. Then Deku just says, "Is everyone okay?" Which makes all of them confused. He then says, "What do you mean if we're okay? You just fell from the sky. You were hit by lightning." Deku then says, "Yeah, so? I just want to make sure everybody's okay. It's a hero's job, right?" He just sat back by that. As he says, "What?" Deku then stares at Ida with this strange look in his eye. Says, "A hero's job is to make sure everyone's safe, isn't it? So what I'm asking is everyone safe?" Everyone's kind of scared at the stare that Deku's giving Ida. As when the people say, "Yeah, I think everyone's fine." Deku says, "Good." As then a timer, or a big, horn goes off, and President Mike says, "All right, kids, that's the end of the entrance exam. If you're injured, please go see our doctors." As then some of the people huddle around Recovery Girl, as Deku says, "Mrs. Recovery Girl?" Recovery Girl looks over at Deku, and Deku says, "Let me help lighten the load," as he walks to one of the students and uses electricity to heal his arm, which had a pretty big gash in it. The people are amazed by this, saying, "Whoa, it's fast." And the guy who had that gash on his arm was actually kind of like down in the dumps for some reason. When he got struck, or when he got healed, he just felt this warm feeling in his inside, and smiled and says, "Thanks, man." As he left, and then he left. Deku stayed and helped heal the people, and then went ahead and leave himself. We skip a couple weeks later, And Deku is just chilling in his room. And he's actually talking to Atreus and the goddess, Alv, or Alvi. I think that's the name he gave her. And he says, "Hey, kid, I think you're ready." Deku says, "Ready for what?" Alvi says, "For your celestial weapons." Deku says, "Celestial weapons? Does every god get them?" Alvi says, "Yes. See, mine is this bandage around my eyes. They let me see anything and everything, from the past to the future." Deku says, "Whoa, that's cool." Atreus says, "Huh, not as cool as mine," as he points to his armor. It says, "This armor is practically unbreakable. Not even your thunderbolts can pierce through this. Hell, not even a titan could." Deku remembers the word titans, and he says to himself, "Titans. Creatures from the underworld that are almost equal to gods. And they try to destroy everything in their path. They are mostly based off the elements." Atreus like, yeah, those. As Alvi says, "It's time for us to go to, Black Cup's shop." Deku says, "Black Cup? What type of name is that?" And then a voice says, "My name, dumbass." As then he turns around, sees nobody. Then looks down, sees a short, bearded man with a hammer. He thinks, "Is that a dwarf?" The small man says, "I'm Black Up. You got a problem with that?" Deku says, No. As Black Up then says, "Good. Now, let's see what type of celestial weapon you want. It will suit you." As then, Black Up starts to examine Zuko and starts running around him at like supersonic speed, looking like the Tasmanian devil, just zipping around him. And then Black Up says, "All right, I got the perfect item." As he then disappears and appears again with a box with a big thunderbolt on it. Says, "This is the perfect weapon for you." Deku says, "Thank you." As he opens up the item and sees two gloves. Or like arm bracers. Gauntlets, that's the word I was looking for. He says, "Whoa. They're silver grayish gauntlets lined with gold plating. And on the knuckles seems to be what looks like to be a lion. Or lion faces." As he puts them on, he then punches the air, releasing a big boost of wind pressure. Black Up says, "Oh, don't use him here. Don't fucking break something." Deku thinks, "Well, he's got a mouth on him." Atreus. I just realized I named him Atreus from God of War. Oh my god, I subconsciously called him Atreus. Atreus then says, "Well, kid, those suit you, especially with that brawler style, fighting style you have." As Alvi says, "You should probably add those to your hero costume." As Midoriya says, "Oh, I should. If I go into UA." And as he says that, he wakes up with his mom busting through this door saying, Izuku, there's a letter from UA." Deku is surprised. He takes the letter and opens it up and sees All Might saying, "I am here in a hologram." Deku then thinks, All Might? All Might then continues to explain that he got the highest score in history of the UA entrance exams. It says that not only did he get almost 200 villain points, he also got 100 points in the rescue points, which gives him a total of 280 points. And that's not all. Afterwards, he stayed and helped heal the people, or the contenders, which gave him an extra 20 points, rounding him up to 300 points. Which I believe, I don't know if this is for sure, but All Might got like 250 points. So he got 50 more. Like, when All Might took his entrance exam, he got 250 points, which broke the record in UA, which Deku broke All Might's record. So he's now number 1. As Deku begins to cry, as All Might says, "Welcome to your Hero Academia." And then the hologram cuts off. So that's it for this What If, guys. I kind of screwed up in some places. I'm sorry. I know I suck with this type of stuff. But anyways, if you liked it, I'll do another one. If you do like this What If, then comment down below if you do want to see more of it. And if you don't, understand. And if we get up to, I'm going to do Darren and get 10. No, not 10. 5. No, not 5 again. 7 views. If I get 7 views, I'll do another. Next time I'll do another What If Deku was a Thunder God. What if? And then after that I'll do Zombie and then Thunder and Zombie, Thunder, blah, blah, blah. And after I'm done with one of those or both of those, I'll go into another 2 What Ifs, which I already have an idea for another What If, which I'm excited for. I am really excited for. By the way, if you guys didn't catch on, this is a regular Deku X Ochako chip. So, see you guys in the next one. Well, not see ya, but hear ya? Whatever. And, bye-bye.